Chini kanahila hela makia chanete anata anatia enekuana kati kena magu sala kichini kuana.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Deep Shift. My name is Karen Jones.
And I'm Shay Sisler.
Hi, Shay.
Hi, how are you tonight, Karen?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. If you hear my dogs in the background, they just started barking as we started to speak tonight. So hopefully they won't be too disruptive. So
oh no, they're right on cue. There you go.
Yeah, right on cue, because we're talking about language tonight and speaking and words, right?
Right. And speaking can come in many forms. There you go.
Absolutely.
Right. So we are in the Deep Shift, ladies and gentlemen. Just in case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of deep shift going on. So our topic tonight is the power of words. And words can be extremely powerful. All words have vibration, as all of you must know by now. If a child is told that they are stupid, that they'll never amount to anything, what does that create? What kind of adult does that create? So there you have a prime example of how words can wound very easily, especially to a growing child who is still forming and discovering who they are and what their gifts are, what their abilities are, and having loving parents who nurture that, or having parents who don't necessarily know how to nurture. So yes, words can be very, very nurturing as well.
Yeah, and I want to comment here too, like kids are so impressionable between the ages, when they're a baby to about 7 or 8 years old. That's where their foundation is learned, and this weekend I had my nieces over and we were playing in the pool and just kind of laughing and joking. And then they would say things and I'm like, I'd look at my sister and I'd say, this is learned behavior, because the things that they were saying were just like, where would a child get that other than from their mother, or their father, from things that they were hearing, and they were very negative, and like I was just like, I was kind of blown away because I really never paid attention to how our words affect our children. And so I'm glad you brought that up, how important that is.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you look at our society and the problems that are coming up, there's a lot more depression, there's a lot more anxiety, there's a lot more ADHD, ADD, OCD, all of these letters around people and what's going on for them. And I think a lot of it stems not only from how people are speaking, but also how we're taking care of ourselves, right? How we communicate with our animals, how we treat our animals, how we communicate with our plants. I know that sounds kind of insane, but if you've ever had a plant that you talk to and you see that it's blooming and growing so beautifully, what's that all about, right? The energy and power of words and how you're using them, right? So if we had, let's say we had a farm filled with people walking, people coming through the field and talking to the plants every day. Well, how would that affect the help of creating stronger, more powerful, more beautiful plants, a healthier connection with the earth? I don't know why I veered off in this direction, but it just seemed to make sense that if we were more connected to our earth and to our plants and to our trees and to nature, then maybe the toxins wouldn't be as intense as they are, and they wouldn't be creating what I consider. I don't know if you think this too, Shay, that a lot of these letter illnesses like ADHD, OCD, autism, all of these things are affected, that people are affected by them through our food. What if we had the power to speak to our plants and lower that level of toxins? Because obviously nobody else seems to want to remove the toxins from our food. But what if we could tap into that magic, the magic of the power of our words?
Yeah. Do you know, as as we prepare our food, just preparing the food and cutting the food up with love, right? you're infusing your love and your energy into the preparation of the food. And so when people eat that, they're getting the energy of the love that you put in it. So what you're saying is, imagine if you were growing your own food and you're putting the love in the food that you're growing right from the very, very beginning. You're
Right.
already infusing the growth of that plant, you know. And Dr. Emoto talked about the power of words in his books, when he would just put on a bottle a word love, and then a word, you know, I hate you, and how it would change the crystallization of the water as it
Yes.
froze. So our words are so powerful. We have no idea how powerful those words are and how they affect our bodies.
Exactly, exactly. And you know, one of the things that I've been promoting in my meditations, which is I'm not the only one, is the power of gratitude. It's like, you know, the Native Americans were, you know, they would only kill what they needed for the tribe. They would never kill animals in excess, right? And after after the animals passed, there was a ritual where they would thank the animal. They would bless the animal. They would honor the spirit of the animal. And so there was this beautiful ritual of connection in spirit, so that, you know, when the animal came into their body, that connection was clean and pure. And you know, we have our in many religious um, communities, they also have prayer before they eat. And I think that this is the similar energy of saying thank you, which is a spectrum of love. Gratitude is a spectrum of love. And if you use it wisely, like right before you eat, perhaps that too diminishes the toxicity of what has been done to our food and what is being done to our food. Let's see if we can lower that at least. I don't know if we can completely get rid of it. We'd really have to, as a people, gather together to really shift and change that. But I think this is a good start to use the power of gratitude and words to affect change.
Yeah, I love what you just said about the power of prayer, because in a lot of my sessions, a lot of people have come in and asked about the toxicity in the food and the GMOs, and the higher dimensions, the spirit guides, the higher self have told my clients that prayer will change the chemistry in the food. So really, there's no food in our world really that's truly organic, right? If you
Correct.
can buy organic food, obviously you're going to get a better quality. But I have had many clients been told that it doesn't have to be, because we have, through our words, the ability to change the structure of the food that we eat just through simple prayer and gratitude, like what you're saying. That is so powerful. And those words are so beautiful. And today I want to comment, because earlier today, you and I got together, and I was asking about this nutrition program that I'm embarking on right now. And through the Council of Healers, they said to talk to my body, you know, use words in my body when I get out of the shower, put lotion on, talk to each part of my body, because there is consciousness in everything. And so, you know, when you're rubbing on the lotion, thank your body parts for being there and holding you up and carrying you along and doing what it needs to do to make you, or to help you have this amazing life that you live. So it's really beautiful that we have these words, and to be conscious of the words that we're using as we
Yes.
go out there into the world. And yeah.
Yes. You know, even in psychology and psychiatry, they are very, very careful about how they use their words. To be impeccable with your word is really to take a moment, to take a beat before you jump into, let's say, telling someone how their work is affecting everyone, basically. So like, if you're getting critiqued, being critiqued can be a very difficult thing for people sometimes, because they take it such to heart that, you know, that they're maybe getting something wrong. But I find that if you just take a moment, there are many, many ways to say things, right? There are many ways that you can approach someone. Sometimes when we're a little bit agitated, if we're being a little bit moody, if we're being, if we're not as focused as we'd like to be that day, sometimes we'll just spurt words out. Like oftentimes in the use of texting today in our modern world, texting can be completely misinterpreted because you're putting words together, but you're not listening to the person. You're listening to you're reading words that have a vibration, but sometimes in between that vibration, it's not exactly what you wanted to say. Because we have a tendency to leave words out when we're texting. We have a tendency to text really fast because we want to get the message sent and move on with our lives. But actually, when you take a moment to literally talk, I think that the energy is transmitted in a much better way. Not always better, but definitely the act of listening to someone's tone of voice, listening to how they're phrasing something through the sound of the voice. Well, I'm going to come back to sound because I'm the sound person. I'm the sound shaman, quote unquote. And so for me, I think that it really, really needs to take a moment before you start to critique someone. Take a moment and really look them in the eyes and come from the heart and speak from that place. Because as you were saying earlier, Shay, speaking from the heart is really one of the most powerful places we can speak from, not from necessarily the logical mind, because our logical mind doesn't always work so well.
No, I agree. And, I want to say you always make this statement that's like, how does life get any better than this? I think you say that all the time because there's a lot of people who are like, they're just so down and out and they always say the opposite. And what is the thing that they usually say? Do you know?
But it's getting worse. Oh my God, everything keeps getting worse. How could it get worse? It's such a crazy question. Because then that's all that happens. That's all you'll notice, because that's what the universe is hearing you say, and that's what's going to be created. Because what comes out of your mouth is what the universe is listening to, and also what's in your thoughts too. So watch your thoughts as well, and stop in negative thoughts. Stop thoughts that are diminishing of yourself, diminishing of people that you care for, because that's not going to create any change. Because you're going to stay in the same loop. Right? We talk about recordings, right? And they talk about it in psychology. They talk about it in self-development. We have these lovely recordings that are running around in our heads, and those recordings are what's creating our lives. And we don't know what the recordings are because we don't take a moment to look at our thoughts,
Yeah. Well, I know sometimes too, like even for me, this is a subject that I really need myself to really be aware of right now, because I say things all the time like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, when I know that I'm not. But what I'm doing is, when you say I am before anything, first of all, you're giving that so much power, so I try to stop myself when I'm saying things like that. One of the words that I really don't like is I can't.
Yeah.
And that's one of the words that I do not very seldom ever put into my vocabulary, right?
Yes.
Because I'm going to try at least, but how many times do you hear that from people? I can't, I can't, I can't. And so consequently, they don't. And they don't move forward in life, so I can't really holds people back instead of just empowering themselves to say, I'm going to try this. I'm going to work on this. Even the word try, sometimes I'll find myself,
Exactly. Try is also.
No, either, what was that Yoda who said, there's no try, either you do or you don't, what I mean?
Exactly. It's a word that we throw around a lot in our society. Well, I'm going to try. No, I am going to do this, right? Because that is the intention. There you go. That intention, that word of intention. What is your intent, right? Exactly. Try is a bugaboo word. Be careful when you use that one, people. Another one is always. But I always get a cold in the fall. Well, guess what? You're always going to get a cold. And I've always had this problem. oh, really? Then that problem is never going to get resolved because you've always had it. And that's what you're telling the universe. That's what you're telling your body. That's what you're telling your mind and your spirit. That this is something that's always been and it will never change in your universe because you've decided this is how it's always been. Instead of, okay, so what's it going to take to change it? Is there a possibility I could change it? And there's always a possibility. It's you.
Yeah. Right. And then the other thing, when you hear your friends or family members say that, ask them, is that true? Because then it makes them think about it. Is it true that you always get a cold in the wintertime? You know, because it makes them think, well, no, it's not true. And then they'll become more aware of when they're saying that and they're creating that reality.
Right.
So you bring it to their awareness.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and sometimes it takes a few times because, you know, we're creatures of habit. And as creatures of habit, we get very comfortable in the groove. You know, we're in this groove. This is where we're going to stay. We don't want to move too far away from the groove because then that's new territory. We don't want to go into new territory too quickly. You know, that's how humans are. And unfortunately, and fortunately, you know, that's not a bad thing. It's just we're slow to change, but that's okay. Take it slow. Acknowledge that you've been saying always around this certain idea. Okay, so what little bit can you do to begin to change that point of view or that belief? Because that's really the structure is how you create your belief systems. How does it start? It starts from when you start copying your parents and you buy a lot of their belief systems and you just start using the same words they use, right? That's just like your nieces with your family gathering.
Yeah. And you know what, I want to point out there that, you know, if I'm around anybody who's watching this and I say any of these words, these are topics that are important to me and to Karen that we are working through. So that's why we're having these discussions. Some people are much better at it. I'm still working on these things that we're talking about.
Always.
Yeah, another thing that I say often is, you know, I should really go do that. And I know I shouldn't, you know what I mean? Or I should is not, you know, it doesn't matter. It's like judgment. You're putting judgment on something, whether you do or you don't. So it doesn't really matter. It's like, you know, do you want to do it or you don't want to do it? You know, but there is and shouldn't be any shoulds or
Right.
shouldn't.
Even the word judgment itself, you know, we unfortunately use judgment as our moral barometer, right? So this is wrong and that is wrong, and this is wrong and that is wrong. Now, basically, right and wrong can be a pretty funny thing for a lot of people because what was, let's say, wrong 50 years ago, today is no longer wrong. So right and wrong is a constantly shifting energy. Maybe there are certain things that are right and wrong that probably we would all agree that yes, this is definitely wrong. And there are other things that in the moral structure of society is always shifting. Let's just put it that way. So when you go into judgment, try and be very, very careful with that because judgment in and of itself can be extreme on the person.
Mm-hmm.
You make someone wrong. What does it do to their person, to their growth?
Right.
Is it wrong or is it a choice that isn't working so well?
and we can even take this even higher than that. If you really go up to the higher dimension and look at this as, okay, this is just a hologram that we live in. And, you know, we don't know what anybody's life plan is and what they're designed, what they've designed for themselves to come down here and learn or to experience. So if you really look at it from that point of view, there is no, their judgment is not even in the equation. And I know that's been something that I've really had to work on too, because even when somebody does something, I think judgment is horrible or horrific, I don't know what their bigger plan was. Right. So that's why we're told, you know, like Jesus always said in, you know, in the scriptures now, mind you, I don't read the scriptures, but he said, you know, not to judge because we don't understand the bigger picture. So
Exactly. And I was
Yeah.
always fascinated by the movie of the guy that was on death row, and then I think Susan Sarandon played the nun, and Sean Penn played the convict. And having being in the position to work with someone who was going to be killed for something that they did, for some evil that they committed, and being able to forgive and not look at them with judgment. Now that is quite a feat. That is a
Yeah.
powerful person who can observe from a place of love and not go into judgment. Now, so obviously, that would be the human that I think we're all aspiring to be. We have a long way to go, but judgment is a word that we need to, especially, we need to remove it for ourselves. But because I know personally that judgment of myself has been a big thing in my life, because I always want to aspire to be a great and good citizen of the world. And when I don't meet that standard, I put myself down, and I know that there are many of you out there who do something similar. That self attack, or that moral attack on others, you're wrong, you should not, pointing a finger. I mean, just feel the energy of that. That that really may not have been the best choice you've ever made in your life. However, I love you, and I hope that you're going to look at this in yourself and make some different choices. Because in access consciousness, as you all know, I've all studied that for a long time. It really does come back to choice. You choose. Is it working for you? Great question. Or is it not? Then maybe you need to make another choice. Right?
Yes, and thank you for all of that, because yes, I think it's really important that we're just being very aware of the way we choose to use words and how we say them. So
Yeah.
another word that I want to point out is the word impossible, right? Because with all of the things that's going on in the world, there is so many things so many people that are stepping into their gifts that we used to think was impossible, right?
Yes.
To be able to connect to the other realms, to the higher dimensions, to be able to, see with our third eye, see visions. Telekinesis used to be considered impossible. A levitation used to be impossible. But with the gifts that are coming in, there's more and more people you're going to see start being able to do those things. So right. The word impossible or I can't is what's going to hold you back. Or this is one I say all the time, I have blocks, right? And I've been told many times by my spiritual team that the reason I have blocks is because I keep telling myself that I have blocks.
Right.
So I just need to get rid of the words and stop speaking them, because I'm creating that reality, and we all are. So really pay attention to your beliefs and the words that you say around those beliefs, because it's important for us to move forward.
Right. And another word is but. Because you'll say all of this great stuff and you'll say but, and everything that you just said just got canceled. So be careful with the word but. I learned that one in Access. That's a good one. Yeah, and one of the things also that is really important is that words have a tendency to define, right? So we'll use a term to define what's going on. But that definition or that answer that we have in that moment can be an answer that can move. It's not necessarily there in stone. It's not written in stone. This is not, Moses with the tablets. Mm-hmm. When you start to ask questions, which is the beauty of psychoanalysis, which is the beauty of self-development, they'll ask you a question instead of forcing you into one idea. Well, like you said, well, what if that's not true? Is that really true for you? Because when you ask a question, the universe, everything expands. Everything expands. When you say, well, this is how it is, guess what? That's all you're going to see. Because the universe cannot hear you when you have put something in a box and this is the only way it is. If that were the case, we would never grow. we would still be, living in caves and trying to figure, trying to create wheels. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
we have to stay asking questions, get to a greater awareness of what is really happening. Because that question, you'll see it in people, and Shay knows this really well. Those people who have that aha moment, I have seen it a gazillion times when I'm working with people using my techniques, and she does too. It's like all of a sudden they go, oh, wow.
Yes. And I've had
Mind
several of
blown,
those
right?
just this week. It's been incredible to watch it this week. It's something else that came up really prominent this week. And I think it was in a session or something I was listening to, but they were talking about someday or tomorrow I will do something, right? Well,
Mm.
someday never comes and tomorrow never comes because
Right.
all we really have is the moment that right now.
This is
So you
how,
make, yeah, you make a choice. You make a choice now.
yes. Yes, there are a lot of, schools of thought that, say we have to go through our past bit by bit. I don't necessarily agree that you have to go through every single detail. There are a lot of things that are released with time. And then there are things that you stumble upon, like let's say hypnosis or access consciousness or other self-development things where you have the opportunity to, that is still in my universe. Let's get rid of it, and there's that conscious choice. Okay, I'm done with that. And maybe it's because you said a certain word and you're like, wow, you know what? I've been saying that since I was a kid. I think it's time for me to get rid of that, right? Another word is want. The word want. Want also means to lack. Okay. I don't want money. I don't lack money. I know that sounds funny to say, but if you say, I don't want money, I don't want money, I don't want money, I don't want money, money is going to come to you. I discovered that. But the word want, the way it was originally used was as to lack. Okay. I am wanting of nothing. It is the old way that it was used, but that old way has not disappeared. So if you go back into some old dictionaries and start looking at words, you'll see that a lot of the words have taken on new energies. So they become a little bit multidimensional. So just be very careful that you're not using the word want to mean lack when you say it. Now, sometimes you'll use it in terms of lack, and other times you will use it, but the energy is wonky, and you'll be like, wait, I really do desire this. Right. That's just a little something to pop into your head. And what else? Oh, and why? The question why. It's like you ever hear a 2-year-old ask, but why? But why? But why? Oftentimes, why will take you around and around and around and around and around. Try and use another W question word, like, so what about, or how does, or whatever. Just use something different, because why is not necessarily going to get you to a greater awareness. Let's just put it that.
And one last one that I want to point out is the statement have to. I have to do something. And when you have to do something, feel the energy in there. When you have to do something, it's like drudgery. Like, I really don't want to, but I have to go do this,
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, I'm going to go do this, or I'm doing this, when you have to do it.
Yes.
It's really heavy energy in
It's
that
just
statement.
Exactly. It's like, I choose to do this now. I'm going to go do this and, make it happen.
Yeah.
It's interesting of words. Pay attention. They're really important, especially watch your thoughts too about, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. Is there no way? Or perhaps it's later. Sometimes it's not necessarily right now. Is it now or is it later? That's a good question to ask. Oh, okay, so it's later. Okay, so great. I'll prepare for that. You're the one. You are the director, producer, and main character in your film. Write your scripts wisely.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully tonight we've been able to just create a little bit more awareness around the words that we use and the way we speak, so that, you know, going forward, you can just start becoming more aware and thinking about those things as, you know, they come into your conversations.
Yes, yes, and yes. So have fun, people, with the power of your words. Recognize that words can hurt and words can lift as well. So if it's something that you're not necessarily conscious of, pay attention. That's all. You'll
Beautiful. Yeah. Now, Karen, are you going to leave us with some light language tonight regarding words? So
yes, I am going to do just a brief little bit of breathing for anyone who wants to join in and tap into their data bank of words and have a greater awareness of words and how to use them in a way that is more beneficial to you, that expands your universe instead of contracts your universe in any way. So that's what this language that's what this light language, that's what I'm asking the light language crew to bring through. Okay, all right, are we ready? All right, I'm going to play my magical, oh, this is definitely a magic bowl. Look, I'm playing it and you can't even see it. Okay. Shh. All right, let's all take a nice deep breath in through your nose and your heart, breathing through your nose and heart. And exhale through your mouth and heart. Inhale through your nose and heart. Exhale through your mouth and heart. Inhale through your nose and heart. Exhale through your mouth and heart. I invite you to focus on your heart as you breathe, breathing naturally, feeling the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Breathing through your heart. And as you breathe through your heart, I invite you to think about what you are grateful for today. All of the people, places, and things that you are grateful for. And I want you to imagine that your heart is a big ball of light. And I want you to send rays of light from your heart as you breathe through your heart, sending rays to all of the people, places, and things that you are grateful for today. Connecting to them through their hearts, through the spaces of whatever it is that you are grateful for. Oh, Anna, me halanai, hey, amai lanai. Hanai tuka, saya se kaya mai, saya ke saya manai, anai mai. Saya iti kaya nai. Hola naka ni. Hutch, 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 hutch. Shh. Helikuta kanala kamama katine nene heshikatai nene kua ampatakani chisikiti kanwata nanana hele hele halana hele hanai hela hele hanukua pakana hine pipo shuatata ehrata kinsu lata kamakatini hela nai ye hela na ke ala nai ya ala nai te ala nahita Haku hia mi alana iua. Ha, ha, se kukuapa, ha, hisi nene, halana kai.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I loved it.
Voices. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Super.
All right. Well, we want to wish all of you a great week out there, and we will see you next week on The Deep Shift.
The deep shift. How does it get
Yes.
better? How does it get me better? How does it get me better? Yes. How does it?
Absolutely. So please leave comments or questions. We'll be happy to answer any of those for you. We do
Yes.
meet with the Council of Healers every week. So if anyone wants to, connect with us in that way, you can definitely find us.
Right, because we will be offering a live session to offer to those of you who want to ask questions to the council live. We'll be beginning to start that very soon. You'll be the first to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
道にかないらへらまきがちゃねてあなたあなたやえねくこわなかったけなまごさら道にかないらへらまきがちゃねてあなたあなたやえねくこわなかったけな